Namaste, my witchlings! How are we today? Namaste, 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 witchlings! Welcome back to the Yoga Witch's Cauldron. Here in my corner of the Pacific Northwest, the air has that sharp, clean bite of deep autumn. The ferns on the forest floor are turning bronze, their delicate edges curling inward like sleeping fingers. The mist clings to the ancient cedars, dripping rather slowly onto a carpet of damp, fragrant needles. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear the ancestors. You can almost hear the ancestors breathing with the rhythm of the rain. The veil between the worlds feels beautifully, achingly thin. This October, we have been exploring the art of release and letting go. And this week, we step into the deepest current of that practice. Grief. I know. Even hearing that word can make the breath hitch in your throat, your shoulders tense, and the instinct to turn away rises. It's okay. This is not an easy conversation. It isn't comfortable, and it sure as hell isn't quick. But it's sacred. Because grief touches every single one of us. And like any powerful spell, it deserves to be felt, witnessed, and honored. So, grab your tea or whatever comforts you right now, wrap yourself in something soft, and settle into your sacred space. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breath find its way back home. Take a deep breath with me now, in through the nose, filling the belly, the ribs, the heart, and out through the mouth with a long, slow sigh. Good. Let's talk about the sacred spiral of grief. All right. Are we ready for this conversation? Grief is love with nowhere to go. It is the echo of love after loss. The way our souls remember connection, even when the form is gone. And loss, my witchlings? Oh, loss wears so many faces. It isn't only death, although death is grief's loudest mask. We grieve the end of relationships, the ghost of laughter that still echoes through a now far too quiet home. We grieve the closing of a dream, the future that we had so carefully mapped out that is now just a crumpled page in the book of what might have been. We grieve so much. And I still feel the ache of a door that no longer swings open, to a tail vibrating in joy. This one's hard. It really is. Those the small absences that just carve out those sacred hollows in our hearts. We grieve bodies that change, bodies that ache, and that just no longer do what we ask of them, you know? As a disabled vet, this particular grief is one I am intimately familiar with. The not so quiet negotiations with muscles that once obeyed without hesitation. The bittersweet memory of being unstoppable. It's a humbling daily dialogue with a body that holds the map of a life fully lived, scars and all. We grieve for identities that we've outgrown, jobs that we've left behind, names that we no longer answer to. And sometimes, we grieve the versions of ourselves that we thought would last forever. I still, quite frequently, grieve the young girl in a Navy uniform. The camaraderie, the clarity of purpose, and that certainty of who I was before the world grew a lot sharper around the edges. Every transition carries its own small funeral. And every one of them deserves to be mourned. But we live in a world that rushes grief, you know? We're told to be strong, to move on, and to stay positive. We're handed platitudes that land like stones, bricks, instead of comfort. They're in a better place now. Everything happens for a reason. At least you had them as long as you did. We wear our pain like it's armor and pretend it's enlightenment. But what if strength isn't about holding it all together? What if real strength is the courage to unravel, to feel the raw, messy, holy truth of being human? Because what we suppress, that shit don't disappear. It festers. It hides in the tissues of your body, in your aura, and in the quiet spaces between breaths. It becomes anxiety, exhaustion, numbness, chronic pain. The soul's way of whispering, hey, you forgot to grieve. Grief, my witchlings, is not a weakness. It's a testimony. It screams, I loved, I cared, I was changed. And that is sacred. Grief is sacred because it is born of love. The deeper the grief, the deeper the love. And that is not weakness, witchlings. That is proof of capacity. Proof that your heart was brave enough to open wide, To grieve is to bear witness to how deeply something or someone mattered, how profoundly someone or something changed you, how fully life itself has touched you. And that's holy. From a witch's heart, grief is magic in its purest form. It thins the veil between the worlds, not only at Samhain, but within the temple of the heart itself. In those moments of deep sorrow, when the air feels heavy and time just stands still, we can sometimes feel our ancestors stirring. Their presence hums just beneath the skin, a warmth flickering at the edge of awareness. Their wisdom moves with the breath, a quiet reminder. You are not the first to hurt this way, and you will not be the last. Grief ties us into the great web of all who have ever loved and lost, the universal heartbeat that whispers, "We are one." It's the same sacred current that moves through the spiral of life, death, and rebirth. The maiden becoming the mother becoming the crone, the seed sprouting, blooming, and returning once more to the earth. Grief burns away illusion. It strips us bare, right down to the beams of our being. And in that trembling, beautiful nakedness, in the silence, after everything familiar has fallen away, we find what's real. We find the truth of who we are. You've probably at some point in your life heard about the stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Sounds so tidy, doesn't it? Like a map you can follow, one neat little checkpoint after another. Grief isn't a ladder we climb or a finish line we cross. It's not a list that we check off and say, "Yay, I'm healed now." Grief is a spiral. It is the same sacred spiral that we move through in sacred spiral flow, inward to find our center, outward to reconnect with the world. It's the dance between shadow and light, contraction and expansion, inhale and exhale. We circle through our feelings again and again and again. Each time we pass the same window, that same raw view of anger or heartbreak or longing. But we're standing at a new height. The perspective has shifted. There's more air, more space, more light. Maybe the first time the anger comes, it's a wildfire and it consumes everything in its path. But the 10th time it comes, it's smaller, steadier. A warm ember reminding you of a boundary crossed or of a love so fierce it demanded recognition. Some days the sea is calm and you can float. Other days, a rogue wave of memory catches you off guard and drowns you, drenches you, pulling you under. Neither means you're failing. It means you're feeling. It means you're alive. The spiral isn't punishment, witchlings. The spiral is process. It's how the soul relearns to breathe after loss. It's how we find our rhythm again in a world that has been forever changed. All right, I want to share something rather personal with you guys, witchlings. 7 years ago this week, October 22nd, 2018, my daddy was taken from me. Congestive heart failure. That's what the doctors called it, but there was so much more than that, from Agent Orange exposure to a lot. By the time he left this world, I had already been on my path, my spiral spiritual path, for more than 20 years. And I had buried friends, I had buried elders, I had buried so many. I had learned to sit with loss, to breathe through grief. But losing him? That was a whole nother level. That one, that was the kind of loss that ripples through bloodlines. It broke something open in me, not just my heart, but genuinely the very structure of who I thought I was. My children were utterly devastated. My husband was hurt. Everyone who knew him loved him. He was one of those rare souls who made the world a softer place just by existing in it. And then suddenly, poof, he's gone. Yeah. In the first months after his passing, I found myself reaching for every tool, good and bad, I'd ever learned. Yoga, meditation, ritual, medication. But what I learned and what I discovered was something sacred. My path at that point wasn't just about healing myself anymore. Now, it was about remembering him, honoring him, and carrying him and his spirit forward through the work I do and the love I offer to everyone. Ancestor veneration has been a part of my practice for a long time. But when my daddy joined the ancestors, dude, it became personal in a way it never, ever had been before. I realized, though, that I no longer had to worry about his health, his pain, his earthly burdens. Now, oh God, now he was free. Free to guide me, to whisper wisdom into my rituals, and to walk beside me when I teach. To sit quietly in the smoke of my incense that he couldn't stand when he was alive, and just nod in that way that he always did when he was proud of me. And that changed everything. Because his death didn't end our relationship, it transformed it. Now I can talk to him whenever I want to without having to worry about who's listening in on his end, you know? And I now know that he loves and supports me in ways that just transcend the limits and the boundaries of the earthly plane. And I know, he is still here. That's the spiral too, my witchlings. We have life, death, rebirth. Grief and gratitude, hand in hand, two sides of the same coin. We don't lose our loved ones to the dark. We simply return them to the circle, where love never dies, it just changes shape. So, if you're walking that same spiral today, if someone you love has crossed through the veil, please remember this. You haven't lost them. You've simply learned a new way to listen. So let's take one more breath, one more slow, sacred breath with me. We're going to inhale through the heart, feeling it lift, and exhale through the mouth, letting it soften. Good. Let's keep walking this path together, shall we? I'm going to take a sip. All right. So, witchlings, how do we tend grief as sacred practice? With ritual, with breath, with tenderness. You don't need elaborate tools. Grief really doesn't care how fancy your altar is. It only asks to be met with honesty. A candle, a letter, a handful of rosemary or marigolds. That's enough. And since I'm allergic to sage, I typically reach for cedar to cleanse the space or lavender to soothe the spirit, both of which are plentiful here in the Pacific Northwest. Use what speaks to your heart. Light your candle and watch the flame flicker like a heartbeat. A tiny little sun pulsing between shadow and light. Write your truth on paper. Every messy, unspeakable, unsayable thing. Let the ink become the blood of release. And then when you're ready, burn it safely. Watch the smoke rise, spiraling upward, carrying your words into the unseen. A message whispered through the veil. Maybe you build a small altar, a photo, a stone, a collar tag, a pressed flower, a tangible anchor for your love. Maybe you plant something, a tree, an herb, a seed, so that what once felt like death can root itself as new life. Ritual doesn't erase the pain. I'm going to say that one again. Ritual doesn't erase your pain. It gives your pain a shape. It teaches us the language of love when words have fallen away. And remember, witchlings, your grief lives in your body. It nests in our hips, our shoulders, our hearts. It curls behind the sternum and whispers, "Don't forget me." And on the mat, we can let it move. A gentle mandala flow spiraling in and out from the heart becomes a prayer in motion. Child's pose, balasana, isn't hiding, it's surrender. It's the body's way of saying, I need to be held, I need to feel safe. Supported fish pose, Matsyasana, with a bolster under your spine, opens the chest just enough to let light touch that wound without demanding that you be strong before you're ready. You don't have to force a single thing. Just breathe. One breath, and then another. That is the practice. So, how do we walk through grief without letting it swallow us whole? Well, this week's Sanskrit word is Karuna, compassion. Not the soft, polite kind, but active compassion. The kind that turns toward suffering and says, I'm here. When we are grieving, we are suffering. So our first act of healing is to turn that compassion inward, to wrap ourselves in it like a blanket, to mother ourselves through the storm. Let's talk about a few ways that we can practice that sacred self-compassion, that karuna, as we move with our grief. All right. Whatever arises, my witchlings, let it. The gut punch of sadness, the wildfire of anger, the heavy fog of numbness, even the guilty relief when a long suffering has finally ended. It's all part of the process. Don't judge it. Don't try to tidy it up or push it away. That heat that feels like it could burn down an entire city, that's grief. That hollow ache when the tears absolutely refuse to come, also grief. Just name it. Breathe it. Say it aloud if you have to. I am angry right now, and that's okay because this is part of my healing. You are not broken, my love. You are beautifully, fiercely human, tender and strong in the same breath. It's hard. It is so hard. We all need somewhere we can fall apart without apology. For me, it's my yoga mat before breakfast. Just me, my breath, and the hum of the house asleep, except for the animals. And my journals, where I can pour out the words until they finally run dry. It's where and when the world is still quiet enough for my soul to speak. For you, it could be your car. That small sanctuary on wheels where you can scream, sob, or just sit in silence. Maybe it's your shower, where the water carries your tears away. Or your altar, your journal, or a single corner of your room where you can finally exhale. As a witch, I build a literal circle for my grief. a black candle to absorb what's too heavy, rosemary for remembrance, and a quiet but invisible boundary strong enough to hold my storm. Your safe space doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's idea of sacred. It just needs to be honest. It just has to feel like yours. So that when you step into it, you can whisper to yourself softly, like a spell. This space is safe. This space is mine. Here, I am allowed to feel. Grief, witchlings. Grief has to move through you, or it's going to calcify. It will harden in your bones, nest in your shoulders, and tighten your chest. So let it move. Let it breathe. Write, draw, sing off key, or scream sing. Scream into a pillow until your throat burns and your body just shakes. Paint with wild, messy colors that absolutely refuse to stay inside the lines. Dance like nobody's watching. Turn on music that matches your mood, even if it's loud and chaotic, even if it breaks your heart all over again. I scared my husband and his dear friend. We were smoking and just hanging out, listening to music, and The Greatest Man I Never Knew played. Oh, God, that night was rough. I bawled through the entire song. The husband's friend is like, do I need to turn it off? Nope, let it go. She needs this. As I'm just bawling. That poor man. But I needed it. Move however your body needs. Sway, stomp, curl up into the fetal position, or stretch wide. No, don't worry about choreography. Nobody's judging this. Just truth in motion. Sometimes the spell is shaking. Whoops, as I smack my mouse. Sometimes the spell is shaking. Sometimes the spell is silence. Both are medicine. Expression is alchemy, the sacred art of turning emotion into energy and energy into wisdom. It's the body's way of praying when your voice has forgotten how. Grief hides everywhere. In your clenched jaw, in your tight hips, rounded shoulders, the shallow breath. It lingers in the body like smoke after fire. Gentle, mindful movement helps loosen what's been trapped. This is not about pushing through. This is about feeling into the ache. Movement as prayer. A slow, spiraling, sacred spiral flow. Make sense? A barefoot walk among the trees. Even just one simple cat-cow, breathing along the spine and letting a sigh escape with the exhale. That's enough. Let your body show you where it hurts. Let your breath be your incantation. Try it now, if you can. One hand over your heart. Other hand on your belly. It's there, you just can't see it. Close your eyes. And inhale through your nose, feeling your chest lift and your ribs expand. And exhale through the mouth with a soft feel everything soften. Again, inhale. Feel life return. And exhale, letting something go. That's the spiral. That's Karuna in motion. Every breath is a ritual. Inhale life. Exhale death. Over and over and over. 1,000 tiny acts of release. The body remembers what the mind forgets, that everything we love is impermanent. And yet, every inhale proves that love persists. When the ache feels too vast, remember, you're already doing it. Each breath is proof that you can hold both pain and peace. That is sacred practice. That is magic. Jesus Christ, what do I got for you? Ritual gives grief a language. When words fail, and they so often do, ritual speaks for us. Light a candle at dusk and watch the flame flicker like memory itself. Create a small altar or memory box, or borrow from Mexican culture and create an ofrenda. Place a photo, a trinket, a collar tag, a note that still smells faintly of your loved one. Cook their favorite meal. The simple, mindful act. Oh, goodness. I'm so sorry, y'all. Cook their favorite meal. The simple, mindful act of chopping, stirring, tasting becomes a prayer and a meditation in motion. Step outside at night, tilt your face up to the stars, and whisper their name. Tell them what you wish you could have said. One more time. Irony. I was going to go to Facebook and talk to Dad the other day. Give me a second, y'all. Ah! Sorry. Didn't mean to scream. Earbud decided to kamikaze. Oh, I am so sorry, y'all. I'm sensitive during the rest of the year, but it's worse this time of the year when the veil is so thin. And the anniversary of losing my dad. Hey. I'm a crier at the best of times. This is not the best of times. As the veil thins towards Samhain, the air is just humming with remembrance. You may feel them close. A cool brush of air across your cheek. A sudden whiff of their cologne or perfume. A warmth blooming in the center of your chest. That's connection. That's love reminding you that it never really ends. Because I said this the other day too. Because love, like energy, can never be destroyed. It changes form. So these small acts are ways of saying, I remember, I honor, I still love. I swear, he chose this time of year to go deliberately. Sometimes my rituals are just absolute bare bones, basic, simple as it gets. 2 candles, a black one for grief, a white one for grace, and they burn side by side until they're both gone, teaching me that sorrow and peace can coexist. Other times, it's 2 cups of coffee. One for me, one for him. And I just talk. It's not easy. As I said a minute ago, I sit down with their Facebook page and I write. I just type, let it all come out. Everything that I have done since the last time I wrote. Logically, I know they're never going to see it. But hold on. Rough. Yup. I logically know they're not gonna see it. But it's the closest I've got. You know? And that, Witchlings? That's the real magic. That moment when you realize the boundary between the worlds is so much thinner than you ever believed. Oh my gosh. It just feels so much heavier this year. Yeah. Grief, you guys. Oh my God. Grief isn't just the emotional, though. It's physical. Sorry, didn't mean to smack the mic. I apologize. I'm sure that hurt. It's not just emotional. It's physical. It's cellular. It is fucking exhausting. It floods the body with cortisol, tangles up the nerves, steals your sleep, murders your appetite, and fogs your mind. Okay, it dulls your appetite and fogs your mind. It's the ache behind your eyes, that weight in your chest, and the fatigue that feels like you're slogging through molasses. And you know what? If all you can manage is a cup of coffee and a bowl of cereal, that's okay. Truly. When you can, eat something that feels like warmth. Soup, bread, oatmeal. Anything that tastes like comfort and grounding. Drink water and lots of it. Gatorade is a good option as well because Crying is saltwater cleansing, but your body still needs replenishment and rest. Please, please rest. Rest is not laziness. It's medicine. Your body is performing some sacred labor, reshaping itself around that absence. So lie down when you can. Burrito yourself up in your favorite blankets and breathe. Let the earth hold you for a while. This is cocoon work. Metamorphosis is messy. It takes energy to become something new. Feed yourself softly. Move slowly. And speak kindly to your bones and your cells. You are rebuilding a world from within. And that, too, is sacred work. This is not a path you have to walk alone, my witchlings. Trust me, I know, I've tried. As a veteran, I was trained to handle it myself. Push through, keep moving, stay strong. But grief doesn't salute, nor does it stand at attention. It plops its ass down right smack in the middle of the road and waits. Patient, immovable, until you stop pretending you can outrun it. This pain is meant to be witnessed. Let someone hold space for you. Call a friend who can sit with you in silence. Talk to a therapist who understands the terrain of loss. If words won't come, that's okay. Let them simply be with you. Sometimes what we need most isn't advice, it isn't words, it isn't actions, it's presence. A warm hand, a steady breath in the same room. A quiet reminder that you still belong to the world. Letting others love you through grief is one of the bravest acts of magic that you can do. Let me repeat that one. Letting others love you through grief is one of the bravest acts of magic you can do. It's hard to open up when you feel raw, but love, real love, expands to fit the shape of our pain. And when you allow yourself to be seen, healing slips quietly into the room. If someone offers you kindness, accept it. If no one has yet, reach out anyway. People want to help. They just don't usually know how, especially with grief. Give them the gift of allowing them to show up. That, too, is Karuna, compassion in motion, love as community spell work. Because connection is the antidote to despair. Even in solitude, you're not alone. Every ancestor, every beloved, every listener out there tonight, we are all threads in the very same luminous web. So breathe. Let yourself be held by your people, by your practice, by the earth herself, by Mother Gaia. She knows how to cradle grief. She's only been doing it since the beginning of time. All right, y'all. This last part, my witchlings, this is the hardest part, and maybe even the most important part. Healing isn't about getting over anything. Healing is not about getting over anything. It's about remembering with less pain. It's about weaving your loss into the tapestry of who you're becoming. You're not erasing what happened. You're learning to live beside it. You're learning to carry it differently. Not as a wound that bleeds, but as a scar that tells a story. A story of survival, of love, of depth. There will be good days and impossible ones. You'll laugh unexpectedly and then cry over a scent or a song you thought you'd forgotten. You'll feel strong one morning and unravel by noon. And that's the spiral. 2 steps towards the light, 1 step into shadow, turning again and again and again. So grant yourself grace. Wherever you are on that spiral today, it's enough. You are enough. My challenge to you guys this week, my witchlings, my loves, my darlings, isn't to fix anything. It's much, much simpler and somehow so much harder. I am asking you to acknowledge your grief, however it appears. Maybe it's loud and messy, crashing through you in the middle of the grocery store, leaving you with a death grip on the cart and gasping for air. Maybe it's quiet, sitting heavy behind your ribs, stealing your breath, and showing up as that ache that never fully leaves. However it shows up, let it. This week, instead of locking it away, I want you to imagine pulling up a chair for it at your kitchen table, pour it a cup of coffee, look it in the eye, nod to it and say, I see you. I know you're here. You exist because I loved. And you are welcome to sit with me for a while. When we make space for grief instead of running from it, it stops chasing us. It sits quietly beside us, breathing, present, like an old friend who no longer needs to scream and shout to be heard. As you sit with it, offer yourself that same boundless Karuna, that fierce, gentle compassion that you'd offer to anyone you loved. If your sweet old pupper limped towards you, you wouldn't tell him to suck it up and be strong. You would scoop him up, whisper comfort, and let them rest. Do that for yourself. And that, witchlings, that is radical magic. The courage to be tender with your own breaking heart. Because healing isn't a straight line. It's a spiral, an ever-turning dance of loss and love, of shadow and light. Each breath brings you closer to peace. Each tear waters the roots of wisdom. And each small act of compassion, especially towards yourself, is proof that love never ends. Before we wrap up for tonight, I want to invite you guys to join me for Friday night guided meditation. This week's journey is going to be a gentle one, soft spiral inward, a sanctuary within yourself where you can rest, breathe, and hold your grief without judgment. We're going to walk that path together. You'll find the link on the YouTube page, and if you can't join live, carve out a little bit of time this weekend. Light a candle. Listen to your heartbeat. That's all the ritual you need. And remember, even on the hardest days, especially on the hardest days, this pain does not diminish you. It is carving you into a vessel wide enough to hold more love, more empathy, more wisdom. You are being tempered, not broken. You are learning how to shine, even while you hurt. So until next time, my witchlings, hold your heart gently. Breathe deeply. Let the tears come when they need to. Let the laughter surprise you when it appears. Every breath, every beat, every ache is proof that love is still alive in you. Grief means you loved bravely. And love, when it expands, always changes form. Alright, let's check in with the Witchlings before I wrap up for the night. I'm pretty sure I got it on Amazon, Alan. I love this shirt. Let's see. We are talking meditation. Let's see. I see Hazel was here. I feel so bad that I missed Candy's birthday today, baby. Anxiety can tweak with your breathing. It's a bitch. Meditation and music help a lot, yes. Alan, are you a member of the Patreon? Because I'm starting to put more meditations on the Patreon. And yeah, grief is a bitch. Yes, there's a free tier to Patreon. You can join for free. And most of what I offer is available for all tiers. Because I know we all be a bunch of broke-ass witches here. I am trying to lighten my own spirits because this was a very heavy show tonight. And today's the 23rd. Yeah, literally yesterday was the anniversary of my father's passing. So, it's been a rough day. Okay, I come back and nobody's talking to me. I love it. All right, y'all. So, my witches, let's go out there and spread love, spread joy, and spread kindness. Because there is already so much darkness out there. Can we not add to it? Let's try to be light for those still trying to find their way home. Tell your loved ones, whether they walk on two legs, soar with wings and feathers, curl up with fur, glide on scales, or tiptoe on tiny paws, that they are absolutely precious. Moments slip away faster than we expect, and those final goodbyes always come too soon. And my darlings, step outside, touch the earth, breathe in the sky, and feel the pulse of life still beating beneath your feet. Have a day and a life filled with love, joy, and magic. And please, always, always remember, you are loved, you are wanted, you are needed, and you do have a purpose here, even if you haven't found it yet. I didn't until I was 45, so there's still time for you, my darlings. I love you all to bits. Namaste, Witchlings.